I'm TarotOracle, and I'm answering your questions today with my bottled water. So the first question I have, a lot of psychic fair questions. The first question I have, though, is do you let the users touch your cards, or do you let people draw their cards, or do you draw the cards? So is it, who takes the cards out? So as per my shuffling video, I will spread the cards out, and then I'll have the person take 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. I feel that any interactivity you can make between you and your querent is a bonus, and it's good, right? As well as anything that you can show them that makes them think and makes them remember you, that makes you unique. So 90% of the world is going to be using intuition. You're going to be using intuition, but in addition to the intuition, I'm going to add things like card interactions and things like that. So I'm going to tell them, hey, this person's writing. They're writing in this direction, and they're writing towards this card. That means this, that means that. So that gives them a bonus that they can go home and talk to their friends about you and say, hey, this person has something different than anything I've ever seen before, and it's interesting. And they'll call their friends, and their friends will come see you or call you and get a reading, etc. So it's a way to get more business per se, or a way to get more people interested in you, is to have something unique. And card interactions is unique, and that's why this is on my channel. So obviously there's quite a few billion videos on card interactions on my channel. So the answer is I let them draw the cards, but I want to minimize their touching and handling of my cards. So I'll have them draw it, and then I'll grab it and put it where I want it to be, which is going to be, left or right type thing. So that's how I want to have them interact with my cards. What I don't want is a situation where I draw the cards, I lay down the cards, I lecture to them, and they go away. That's going to be a terrible situation. The more interactivity, and you have that with every time you interact with a person, you want to have them a more interactive experience, interactive exchange with the person. So, and that goes true with magic. For magic, for example, I don't just say pick a card or whatever. I'll have them, do a joke, or I'll have a joke or something like that. And anyway, so the more interactivity you can have, the better. So let's see, Bella Love, how much do you make daily at a psychic fair? So there are 3 types of phases of psychic fairs. This is going to be long, sorry. The first phase is you're brand new, right? The second phase is you've been there a while. The third phase is you've been there forever. So let's talk about you're brand new. You're going to get a good amount of boost money, as I call it. That's basically you're new, you're interesting, and psychic fairs consist of 60% repeat customers. In other words, 60% of the people walking through the door have been there before. So, I mean, that's pretty lenient, more like probably 70%. Sorry, I'm thirsty. So you have 70%, 60% repeat customers. And if you're new, now you're going to attract some business because, hey, you're new, maybe you're exciting, there's something interesting about you, and you're going to get some free business. So your first day, you always make a little bit of money. Now comes phase 2, which is you've been there a while. In other words, 3, 4 months, whatever. And everybody's seen you before. They know they like you, they don't like you. Not everybody's going to like you. That's facts of life. But so you're going to make your least amount of money in stage 2, which is you're not new, you've been there a little while, and your newness wore off. So you're not going to make a lot of money. The third stage is you've been there a long time, and you're consistent. The problem with psychic fairs is you can't go every 3rd month or whatever. You have to be there consistently, so people consistently see you. They know you're there. So if I was interested in you last month and you were busy when I was there, then I want to come next month and see if you're around. But if you're not around, if you're not consistent, so you're not going to make much money if you're not consistent. You have to be there every time if you're serious about it. And then the last stage is you've been there forever, and at this point you've built your social media, you've built your presence, you've built your hype around you, you have your steady flow of customers. You know, Business 101, at this stage here where you've been there forever, you need to be consistent and have a social media following and have your regular set of customers that know you're going to be there and follow you and things like that. So you keep up with them, you know, email or social media or whatever. So how much money do you make? Anywhere from negative money, in other words, you paid for the table, half table, and you didn't make any money, you lost $40, $10, $20, $60, $1 million, whatever. You lost the table money. You're going to make some money, you make a lot of money. Anywhere from negative to, you know, a couple of hundred, I guess. Like if you have a huge following, maybe you can make a couple of hundred, I don't know. That's up to you, but it also depends on things like the weather, right? How was the weather? If it's a foot of snow, probably not going to be a lot of traffic through there. If you have a convention or something in the same hotel that the psychic fair is at and you have more foot traffic, there's so many factors that determine how much money you make. And it's going to depend on the more people in there, the more money you're going to make. Bottom line, right? So the more attractive you are, the more unique you are, the more money you're going to make. That's just the bottom line. So that's how much money do you make. Somebody else asked, how much does it cost to go to a psychic fair? So it depends on your area. So if you're in an area to where it's high-end, expensive, like Manhattan or Southern California or something, I don't know. It's going to cost more than if you're in the middle of, you know, nowhere, Nebraska or something. So how much you get charged depends on your location and the type of fair and the organizer, etc. So normally you'll have a whole table and you'll have two people sitting there. So two people at a big table, and that's called a half table. So you get this half of the table and I get this half of the table. And you have your partner, you over here and your partner over here. So it's usually going to be a total stranger. Sometimes you'll luck out and you'll have somebody you know or somebody that's consistently at the same place. Most people are creatures of habit. They're going to sit at the same place every time and things like that. So that's sort of normally it's a half table fee. And it'll be anywhere between $20 and $100. It depends on the fair. So most organizers are pretty picky also about how long are you there. In other words, if it's death slow, nobody's coming through the door at noon, they don't want you to get up and leave. And most people will be tempted to get up and leave, especially if you've had a bad morning. Everybody wants to leave, which is bad because usually you'll have another surge of people at like 2 o'clock and you have a surge right before closing and things like that. So leaving early, a lot of times the organizer will get really angry at you. So I wouldn't leave early. I would go ahead and just pack your lunch, get your snacks out, get your bottle of water, and be prepared to stay there the entire time. So that's basically a little more about psychic fairs. You definitely do want, if you go to a psychic fair, you want to be very good friends with the person sitting next to you. So make friends, you know, go back to my video about psychic fairs, just make friends and all that stuff, and make sure that you're not, you know, a total stranger to the person next to you and all that other stuff. So reading tarot is probably the most popular thing that you'll find at a fair as well. So anything that you can do that'll make you unique without being really obnoxious. So you don't want to be super obnoxious. I mean, you know, have a nice cloth maybe, make you unique a little bit, or have an interesting deck. So when I go, I'll have the Thoth, or everybody says it's pronounced Toth. I don't care. I like Thoth. So I have a Thoth and I'll have it spread out, and it's interesting. Not a lot of people have this deck. And someone else asked as well, when do you use this deck versus that deck in a reading? So it all depends. The Thoth deck I'm going to use to where I want to get a lot of information out really quickly, and I don't want a lot of questions about the cards. Does that make sense? So if it's a casual reading, like they just want a year forecast or something like that, I'll use a casual deck, and I'll talk about card interactions, and I'll have all sorts of cool things to say about the cards and talk about the astrology and things like that. But if it's something serious and the person is like visibly upset, and you can tell that they're not in a good mood, they don't want to hear your garbage, they want their reading and they want it now, I'll use this. And because this has the least amount of questions, I'm not going to explain anything. I'm not going to say what this is. I'm not going to say why I picked it out. I'm not going to say what this is. There's no card interactions. I'm going to give them the information they want, because they're there for information. And you have those different types of customers. You'll have people that just want information. And I'll make another video to talk about the variety of customers you get, because you'll get like the tester. And this is the guy that wants to test you. He wants to make sure, he asked everybody in the room the same question, and he wants to see your answer to see if it's right. So he'll ask you a trick question and another trick question. And if you don't get it right, you'll never see him again. Even if you do get it right, you may never see him again. But he likes to test you. And he's going to want to figure out what you know and if you're any good. And that's the tester. And then you have the people that are visibly upset. There's some guy's going through a major medical issue. He's dying. I don't know. So they're going to want answers right now. They're going to have very specific questions, and they want you to give them the answer. They don't care that this card is moving. They want you the answers. And that's what they paid you for, and they're really serious. And those people, I'm going to use this deck. So again, I like the deck. I'm comfortable with the deck. You're going to break out your most comfortable deck at that point and give them the answers they need. And you can tell, obviously, if someone's visibly upset versus, casually sitting down. If they're casually sitting down with their daughter or their son or whatever, and they're sort of chilling and they're drinking an energy drink and they're asking a bunch of questions and sort of curious about their son's girlfriend, you're going to have a more casual, maybe a fun deck or something. So that is that. Let's see, another question. Someone wants to buy one book and only one book. I would say the 78 Degrees of Wisdom, or anything in that realm of books, is going to be your best book to get. If you're going to get one book, I would get one book that covers everything. It's going to have a little of astrology. It's going to have a little, information about the card itself. It's going to have the history of the card. It's going to be that thick. If you're just going to have one book, I would get pretty much the standard Tarot Wisdom or something like that, and you can get online and preview these books on Amazon and see. You want something with basic card definitions. You want something with spreads, and those two items are 90% of the tarot books out there have basic card definitions and the spreads. You want something a lot bigger if you're just going to buy one book. You want something a lot more broad and advanced. So I would look for something with maybe some astrology. So then you have basic card definitions, spreads, and astrology. And I would get something with the history. Get something with the history of tarot, the history of the cards, where they were, why they're made this way, why they have these images and things like that. So the more features that you can get in a book, the better off you're going to be. Tarot Wisdom is like, that thick. I would get something in that realm and things like that. Someone else asked me, do you weave shuffle your cards? And I assume you're talking about the standard magician weave. You're just talking about like you're just going to interweave your cards like this, and then have them to where it's every other card or something like that. I don't have a deck of cards, but you're talking about to where you put the corners together and then you weave the cards entwined to each other. No, I never do that. That would be horrendously bad on the corners of the cards and the edges of the cards and things like that. I would never do a standard magician's weave to where you're going to get the two edges and you're going to put them together and then weave them. I assume that's what you're talking about. Let me see if I can do it here. I need a standard deck of cards, but like this, to where you're weaving them together, no, I would never do that. I would not do that. I do that all the time. It's called a Pharaoh shuffle, a perfect Pharaoh shuffle, to where you put a standard deck of cards together and you do that, and every card is mixed in every other card. It's a standard magician thing, but I would not do that with tarot because it just tears up your cards. I would not do that. Even a light weave that I just did, again, I would not do that. So anyway, we've gone 16 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and end this here, and hopefully I've answered a few of your questions. If you have any further questions, please put them in the comments section below. And if you like this video, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.